Believe it or not, your home can be perfectly styled and still feel just like everyone else's. And that's because looking generic doesn't usually come from having a messy house or outdated furniture. It happens when your design choices are too safe, too trend-focused, or missing the layers that make a space feel personal. And so in this video, I'm going to walk you through 4 of the most common reasons homes end up looking copy and paste, even when they're beautifully put together. Because once you know what's causing the problem, it's easy to tweak a few things and make your space feel warmer, more unique, and unmistakably yours. So the first reason your home looks generic is because you're playing it too safe with color and style. Now, don't get me wrong, neutral colors like black, white, and beige are popular because they feel clean and timeless. But when every wall, cabinet, and piece of furniture follows the same safe formula, your home can end up looking flat and generic. But still, using only neutral colors isn't the only way you can play it too safe. It's also about not taking risks with texture, contrast, or any kind of real personality. So take a look at this example, right? In this kitchen, we've got white walls, white cabinetry, and a black kitchen island that feels crisp, but also flat. There's almost no change in texture or material, and so the room just feels totally sterile. And everything blends into a copy-paste neutral. Here in the sitting area, the same black and white formula repeats with just one little bit of wood tone. So the railing, the chairs, and the light all echo the same contrast, so nothing becomes a true focal point. And instead of coming off with some unique personality, it feels model home kind of safe. And again here, the arched bath niche is clean, but it's also kind of clinical with bright white surfaces and that sharp contrast. And so without the softer, warmer elements like textured textiles, wood, or stone, it feels kind of staged, and the look ends up being one-dimensional. Moving into the bathroom, the shower continues this monochrome story, right? White tile, clear glass, and a gray patterned floor. Yes, it's tidy, but it's missing depth and variation. And so the space totally reads generic renovation. And then here in the dining room, the builder basic trio of black, white, and a single wood tone is doing all the talking here. So the chairs, the lantern pendant, and the trim all mirror each other, so the scene still lacks contrast and character. And without a few thoughtful details, nothing sets it apart. And so when every design choice is about being safe, your home loses all its character. But to be clear, a strictly neutral palette isn't the problem. The problem is the lack of contrast, variation, and any kind of personal touches that give a space life. So let's look at a slightly different example. Here we've got a chunky woven rug and the solid wood dining table that add tons of depth to the neutral shell of this room. The brass chandelier warms up the palette, and so the texture and mixed finishes make the room feel inviting instead of flat. And here in the living area, the natural wood coffee table anchors the soft linen sofas, and the stone fireplace details and the layered fabrics here, you know, the throw, pillows, the drapery, they build this tonal depth. And so the space stays calm, but it still reads rich and tactile. And this other angle of the same room actually shows a bit of a subtle color pop, this muted rust colored chair and the fresh greenery. And again, this textured rug and the glass accessories keep things light while still adding plenty of variation. And so this is a neutral palette with layers, not a monotone box. So the lesson here is that you don't need bright colors or trendy patterns to add personality to your space. But by layering textures, mixing materials, and adding a few statement pieces, you can make a neutral home feel warm, balanced, and uniquely yours instead of looking like every other Pinterest perfect space. Reason number 2 your home looks generic is you're overusing decor that ages super quickly. Okay, so trends can make a space feel fresh in the moment, but when a home relies too heavily on what's in right now, it starts to feel generic really quickly. And so even if your room is styled beautifully, it lacks a personal touch and risks feeling dated within a year or two. So let me show you what I mean, right? First, neon wall signs. They can be fun, but they instantly timestamp a room. They often dominate the space, and they feel more like a bar or dorm decor rather than a lasting design choice. And when you pair them with pastel furniture or acrylic chairs, the entire look leans into a very specific style moment that just doesn't age well. You'll also come across farmhouse style script art like this one, where it says, "These are the good old days," right? It's one of the most recognizable examples of decor that's become overdone. And when you pair this with blanket ladders, faux greenery, and mass market accessories, it makes a room look like it came straight out of a catalog rather than reflecting a real person's personality. Now here we've got some cookie cutter leaf prints, some floating shelves, and a layout that just feels impersonal and formulaic. And even though this this space might be neat and well styled, there's nothing unique or collected about it, so it just blends in with thousands of other similar rooms online. And then something like fluted wood panels can add warmth to a room, but when they're installed as a full accent wall behind a TV or just across the entire room, the look kind of feels like a copy and paste of what's trending on Instagram. And because these panels are such a permanent feature, they're expensive and difficult to change once the trend fades. And so overall, rooms that are built on the latest trends just feel really predictable and lack staying power. And so the problem isn't using trendy pieces at all, it's making those trendy pieces the foundation of your design instead of the accents that sit on top of it. So let's look at some better examples now of how to incorporate more modern trends into your home's design. So something like a wavy mirror in a natural wood frame is a great example of how to use a popular shape in a more timeless way, because the natural material makes it feel custom and warm rather than mass-produced. You can use built-in shelves that are styled with books, art, and other objects you've collected from around the world to make your space feel curated rather than filled in with the same formula of basket and vase. Boucle chairs are very trendy right now, so I would advise caution when you're thinking about getting one, but at least if you're going to, then pair them with warm wood tones and timeless silhouettes so that even if the fabric trend fades, then the room will still feel balanced and cohesive. And if you're going to add something fluted to your space, then it works best when it's applied to easily replaceable furniture pieces like a sideboard instead of an entire wall, because this way you get the texture and interest without locking your home into a trend that you might not love in the future. And so trendy elements work best when they're blended with classic shapes, timeless materials, and personal details. And by using them sparingly and in ways that feel custom to your space, your home will evolve naturally over time without requiring a total overhaul. The third reason your home looks generic is your over-reliance on fast furniture. Now, we all know fast furniture is affordable and convenient, but when everyone has the same mass-produced pieces, your home can start to feel impersonal and temporary. And so just a little customization goes a really long way in making those items feel unique. For example, the basic Gladum tray table from IKEA is everywhere, and when you leave it in its original black or beige finish, it looks generic and like a placeholder rather than a thoughtful design choice. But if you swap the top tray for a wood or rattan round, it instantly upgrades that look and it makes it feel more substantial and more intentional. And if you want to take it one step further, you can paint the base in a bold color or pair it with layered accessories like books, plants, and some kind of unique decor, which will turn the entire unit into a standout piece rather than a cookie cutter side table. The Billy bookcase is another IKEA staple that's been around for decades, and it's almost too easy to spot today in its basic form, because when it's left plain, it can look generic and just out of place in a thoughtfully designed space. But by painting it in a bold color and adding some trim, you can actually transform it into a statement built-in that looks like it was made for your room. Or you can also add fluted details, molding, or paneling on the sides to add some additional dimension. And these small upgrades can completely change the look of the bookcase, making it feel like a designer piece instead of a flat pack bookshelf. Now, the fourth reason your home feels generic is your lighting feels builder grade. And that's because one of the biggest reasons that homes look generic is outdated or cookie cutter lighting. So those flush mounts, ceiling fans with light kits, or endless recessed cans may be functional, but they just scream builder basic. Because lighting is supposed to layer mood and personality into a space, and when it's overlooked, even a thoughtfully decorated room ends up feeling flat and uninspiring. So I know we've all seen these in various different forms, and probably in some of our own homes, if not our current home. You know, relying only on recessed can lights just makes the room feel totally flat. There's no depth or variation, and it just feels cold and generic. And then on a similar note, using tiny flush mounts in large rooms feels underwhelming and kind of cheap, and it instantly lowers the perceived quality of the entire space. And then ceiling fans with light kits often give off harsh lighting and dominate the ceiling in a way that dates the entire room. And when you skip layered lighting like sconces, pendants, and table lamps, it leaves you with just bright overhead light and zero ambience in the room. So let's look at some better examples. Here, over the dining table, a designer chandelier turns a simple setting into a focal point. Its organic white form plays against the black accent wall and the pale upholstery to add some really nice contrast. And so you can clearly see how one bold fixture makes the entire room feel intentional and designed. And then here in the kitchen, the twin statement pendants anchor the island while the marble backsplash reflects their glow. And the mix of opal shades and the warm metal detailing adds softness to all the straight lines. space. And then the breakfast nook uses this matte black linear chandelier to frame the round table and the tall windows. And the dark fixture grounds all the light neutral surfaces and ties in the black chair details. And so together they read polished, cohesive, and highly personal. So it's the small upgrades, like adding layered textures, swapping builder grade lighting for statement pieces, and personalizing those mass-produced furniture items, that's what goes such a long way in making your space feel curated instead of generic. Because the goal isn't to follow every design rule, but to create a home that reflects your personality and feels true to you. And by stepping away from those overly safe, overly trendy, and overly flat choices, your home will finally stand out for all the right reasons. So I hope you got something out of this video. If so, I've put a couple links to a few other videos that I think you'll also really enjoy in the description, or you can check out this video up here, which is going to help you view your home in a slightly different way. I'll see you there.